What's up everybody, this is Mr. Patrick with Enrichment of Stark County, and today I'm going to teach you how to change the strings on your old guitar. Stay tuned. Here's what we're going to need. First thing, an old guitar in need of some new strings. I like to use a string winder. We need some new strings, a couple guitar picks, and a guitar tuner. Our first step is going to be to loosen the old strings off of the guitar. Now, this is what our string winder is for. Again, I said you can get these for just a couple dollars, and you put it right on the tuning head, and we want to turn it clockwise to loosen. Now, some guitars only have tuning heads on one side of the head piece. That's this piece right here, sitting on top of what we call the neck, and sometimes they're on both sides. No matter which side they're on, you can remember that you always loosen by going clockwise and you tighten by going counterclockwise. Tightening a string will raise its pitch, while loosening it will lower the pitch. So we want to start off by loosening all the way all of our strings. The reason for this little device here is it just makes it easier. It's easier on your hand. A lot of motion like this can really start to work out these hand muscles and kind of wear you out pretty quick. Alright, so as it loosens, we can just kind of unravel it and pull it right through the hole here. Let's go on to the next one. Once we have all the strings loosened and removed, you kind of want to check these out and make sure that they're nice and tight. If they're loose, it would be a good time to go ahead and tighten these up. Now we want to come down to this end of the guitar. And here we have these pins which are holding the string down taut inside of a hole. Now on this unit right here, there's a little crescent-shaped notch cut out of it, and that is specifically for these pegs right here. Put these off to the side. Once you have all of the pins out, you can take the strings out. If they get stuck, sometimes you can reach in and push from the bottom, or if you just work it a little bit, usually it'll free right up. It's also good to note that this is a good time when the strings are off to actually sit down and clean your guitar. Clean off any dust, any grease spots. You can address any scratches or issues, anything going on with the electronics that may be inside your guitar, any of the hardware or pieces that might need adjusted. This is the perfect opportunity to do it. It's very important not to kink your new strings. You want to handle them very gently. And these specific strings are color coded, so they associate the string with a certain color bead. Now we're going to want to take the new string by the end that has a bead on it. There's a little metal bead there, and we want to drop it in the hole. And we're going to take our peg. Now usually these pegs have a little groove in them. These particular ones do not, but sometimes they do. That groove will seat right along the string. But we drop the bead in, push in our pin, and then pull up on the string. Now, as we begin to tighten it, that bead might pop up and settle in place, and that's okay. That won't hurt anything. You just continue to tighten. So now we're going to take the string up to the other end here. Okay, now we're going to take the other end of the string and we're going to put it through the hole here and pull it all the way tight. Okay, now that the string is pulled tight, we want to give about an inch worth of slack. So once we have it pulled all the way taut and seated here in the nut piece in this little groove, we want to take and pull it back about an inch. Maybe a little less, about an inch, 3/4 of an inch. So we have a little slack on our string. If we don't do this, when you tighten the string, it will break. Now, I like to hold the string real loose. I put pressure right here and I begin tightening the string. Now, again, we're always going to want to tighten the machine tuning head counterclockwise. Now, I want you to take note of this hole here in the peg. As the string wraps around, this first time, we're going to want the string that we're holding on to go above the other end of it where it's coming through the hole. Just for the first wrap, we want to go right above it. Now, for all the remainder wraps, we're going to go beneath it. So at this point, what I like to do is I like to take this string that's sticking out and I just kink it upright. This is going to keep it from smacking the other tuning heads and the other parts of the guitar while I continue to wrap it. Now I put the string low so that as I turn the head here, it's going to come around and go beneath the hole for the remainder of the wraps. And again, even though I'm holding this out here, I'm not kinking this. You've got to be very careful. The only place you really want this to kink up at is right in that entry point of the hole there. And now we'll continue to tighten it, making sure that every wrap is going beneath the previous. And as this begins to tighten up, we could pull this a little, push on it there, make sure it's nice and tight, make sure those pull tightly upward. Okay, now we're going to continue to wrap it. As the string tightens, it's going to start pulling me centerward, this direction. As it gets tight, I want to work the string right into this first groove here. There's a corresponding groove in this piece right here. This piece again is called the nut, and there's a corresponding groove for each string. And each one of these grooves will line up perfectly with each one of our tuning heads. So now this is seated in here. We have one wrap above the string that's coming out, and the remainder wraps below it, probably around 3-4 wraps is good beneath it. Now we'll check the string. We want to bring it pretty close to pitch. There we go, that's close enough. And it's also good to note when tuning a guitar, you always want to tighten up to the pitch. You always want to start beneath the pitch and tighten it to it. Any string instrument you play, you never want to lower to the note, because as you continue to play and as time goes on, that string will actually begin to unwind the pegs. I'm going to go ahead and drop in the other strings and just leave them hang. Each string with their corresponding hole. Here's the corresponding order of our strings. The highest, thinnest string, the highest in pitch, is an E, then a B, a G, a D, an A, and an even lower E. Now I'll go ahead and finish putting in the rest of the strings here and tightening them up. Now our highest string, our lightest, or they call it highest because high in pitch, is an E. The next one is a B. This one I'm doing now is a G. Then we'll do a D, an A, and an even lower E. So once again, I'm pulling the string tight all the way through. Pull it tight. Then I want to go back about an inch or so, somewhere maybe even around the distance of the tuning heads from one another. You can go up a tuning head and pull it back some. We want this slack. If we don't have this slack in here, when we tighten it, it'll break. Alright, now I'm going to take my finger and put it right up against the hole where the string is going into the hole. I begin to tighten it, turning my tuning head, my machine head, counterclockwise. And I'm going to keep my finger here. I want my finger to actually kink this part of the string right here because I want it to stay tight to this point in that hole. We want nice tight wraps. So I'm actually going to pull on this string a little bit, but again, I'm always keeping rounded motions here. I never want to kink it anywhere else along the string. Whenever you kink metal like that, you weaken it. So the first wrap is going above where the string is exiting. The remainder, 3 or so wraps, will go beneath the hole, beneath the string. Now I'll just continue to wrap and tighten it here. You'll feel it get taut, you'll see it starting to straighten out here. And as it gets tight on your fingers, you want to direct it into this groove that's in the nut. There we go. Now let's bring it up to pitch. We're going to tune this to a G note. Another little trick, some guys like to wrap these up so that they don't get in the way. Some guys like to leave them on and wrap them up, and they'll leave them like this the entire life of the string. Other guys will take snippers and snip them off. We will snip them off here at the end. I'll just wrap them around for right now, just to kind of keep them out of the way. Now let's do the next one. This is our D string. We're going to put it through the hole there. Pull it tight. Seat it in the groove. Doesn't really matter too much at this point, but if you want to just get it nice and tight where it's supposed to be. Alright, now we're going to go back again about 1 inch or so. Pull it up. Put my finger up against it where it meets the hole. And then we'll begin tightening. Again, we want to go counterclockwise. Now this first wrap, this is going beneath the string that I'm holding here. That's kind of, you can kind of clutch it like this again, but as long as these parts here are not kinking. It can kink here, it can kink right here. You don't want it to kink anywhere else. So this first wrap, we go above it. And if it pushes out a little bit, that's okay. You can push it back, or it's not really going to hurt it too much. You want it nice and tight, but if it's not perfect, it should still be okay. Alright, now I'm going to take this, press it upward. That way it's easy just to go around it here. And as I put in each new string, I want to go back and tighten the other ones up. They're going to slack a little bit as you begin putting in each new string. And that's okay. The strings actually have to stretch out. That's a step that we'll do at the end. We'll go through and stretch each one. Alright, let's do our next one. Here, I'll wrap this up real quick. Begin tightening. Kink it upright. Again, you don't have to be precise with the notes right now because these are all going to change by the end. We're going to stretch them out and all the notes are going to drop a little bit. So just get them close. You can progressively tighten them up because we're going to be stretching them out, loosening them up, and then retightening them at the very end here. So I like to keep progressively tightening them up. It just helps stretch them out and work them out. But if you don't want to keep fooling with them along the way, that's okay. You don't have to. You can just wait to the end and give them all a good stretch and a good retune. Okay, put that through. Let's pull it tight. Here's our last string, our E string. Now again, I like to go back usually about an inch or about to the next machine head, tuning head, and then I'll pull it back, and that's about how much slack I want. Now I'm going to put my thumb on this side because of the direction it's turning. That'll help kink it. There we go. And we want this to go above that string on its first wrap. We want it to go above. Now, as the string makes it around, again we're going to take this here and kink it upward. And we'll continue to wrap. This time, going underneath of it. Every successive time after the first wrap goes beneath. Alright, let's tighten this up. Now, some people like to cut these after each string. Some people like to do them all at the end. It doesn't really matter. It's a preference thing. But the biggest thing when doing this is you want to be careful not to cut the wrong part. I have put brand new strings on, and I've cut them right back off. The smaller you can make this, the better. You don't want to be poking yourself. So I'll go through and snip these all off. Be careful, be so careful. If you cut your new strings off, you will be upset. There is no two ways about it. Alright, now I have all the strings in tune. So what we're going to do next is we're going to stretch out each of the strings. Now I come down on the fretboard, and a lot of guitars have these markers they call inlays, which look like little dots or patterns on our fretboard. That's this long neck piece here with all the metal bars on it underneath of the strings. That's a fretboard. Now we come up to the 12th marker here, the 12th fret. We're going to grab the string. I'm going to grab the string like this, and I'm just going to begin stretching it, pulling on it like this. You want to give it just a little tug, stretch it out. Pretty good. Now, if you pull it way too hard, you'll know it because it'll snap. But you can kind of feel as you take it up to where its tension point is. Alright, now I go to the next one. And we want to stretch these out real good. If you don't do this, they will do it on their own, and some players actually won't play their guitar until their strings slowly stretch out over time. I've met some pretty I've met some classical players who you know, were pretty hard-nosed about about that issue. I don't know that it makes a difference really. I've never noticed it. I just stretch them right as I put them on because I usually want to play right away. Let's see. So we're going to just take and tug on each of these. Give it a good stretch. Be careful. Carefully now. Just go up and down. And you'll notice, once you're done stretching all these out real good, that your guitar has dropped right out of tune. So we're going to need to tune it right back up again. Let's go ahead and begin tightening this up. Now make sure that all the strings are seated properly, and let's tune it up. And you'll notice for a while, probably for the first week or so, that every time you play it, it feels like it goes out of tune, like you got to tune it in between every song. And that's just the strings stretching out again. That's that metal loosening. Go through it. It'll take a couple times. You gotta tune through them a couple times. By the time you get all the way to the top string and get back to the bottom, it's usually out of tune, because remember, these are all attached to the same piece. So as I'm tightening these are readjusting my wood and reshifting the tension that's in the neck here, which will cause the other strings to change their tension and their distance. So we just want to go through a couple times and make sure that we're bringing it up to tune. And that it's holding tune. And again, if it doesn't hold tune right away, sometimes it can take about a week. Just depends how much you play on the strings. Just depends how active of a player you are. Alright, so here's our guitar with our brand new strings. Let's give a listen and see how it sounds. Real vibrant, rich, nice tones. Hey guys, thanks for following along. If you like this video, leave a like or a comment down below. Any questions, I am free to help and answer. Remember to stay healthy and safe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Pray for my family. Communication is key. We all have the same responsibility. There ain't nothing better. We will work together. We will play together. We will pray together. We are family. Amen. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah.